There are many reasons why people visit Tasmania's remote southwest. Key points. Melaleuca in Tasmania's Southwest National Park is accessible for daytrippers, and is also a stopping place for bushwalkers. Melaleuca in Tasmania's Southwest National Park is accessible for daytrippers, and is also a stopping place for bushwalkers. A guided walk and associated walkers' huts have been proposed for the South Coast Track, part of a push for Tasmania to be an ecotourism leader. A guided walk and associated walkers' huts have been proposed for the South Coast Track, part of a push for Tasmania to be an ecotourism leader. Some are worried such development is not compatible with the wilderness values of the area. Some people love the indigenous history, some love the terrain, the weather. Each person has their own special connection to this part of Tasmania when they come down here, pilot Gavin Groombridge said. Mr. Groombridge has been flying bushwalkers and tourists to Melaleuca, in the middle of the Southwest National Park since 2017. I feel very privileged to be able to come down here so regularly in so many different conditions, and show other people this very special part of the world, he said. Pilot Gavin Groombridge has been flying visitors to Tasmania's southwest since 2017. For Tim and Tracy Davis, who both grew up in Tasmania, but moved interstate when they were in their 20s, a day trip to the southwest was on their itinerary for a recent tour of the island state. We're back on a bit of a pilgrimage to see the parts that we didn't explore when we lived here, Ms. Davis said. The fact that it's so hard to get to makes it so spectacular. Tim and Tracy Davis visited Tasmania's southwest on a recent holiday to the island state. Mr. Davis was also interested in the history of the area. I'm in mining, so the history of it, how it got opened up with an airstrip and a tin mine, he said. Tin mining started at Melaleuca in the 1930s and continued until 2007. It is now part of the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area. Melaleuca is several days' walk from the nearest road, but the airstrip means it is accessible for daytrippers. It is also the start or end of the Port Davey and South Coast multi-day bushwalk tracks, or the midway point of a longer walk taking in both tracks. Wilderness guide Peter Marmion says Tasmania's southwest is precious. Wilderness guide Peter Marmion has been visiting the southwest for the past 50 years, since his first visits as a 12-year-old scout. As I got older, I started going to Port Davey in any way I could. I fell in love with the place, Mr. Marmion said. These days he is an almost full-time guide. There's a little bit of religious zeal about it, too, because I want to convert people to understand how precious this country is and how unique. Mr. Marmion has been a regular visitor to Tasmania's southwest for the past 50 years. Guided walk, huts being reviewed. A 7-day guided walk has been proposed for the South Coast Track, which would include 6 walkers' huts along the 85 kilometres from Melaleuca to Cockle Creek. It was proposed by Ian Johnston, who sold his business to ASX-listed Experience Co. last year. Experience Co. has received the proposal documentation as part of the sale. The South Coast Track could be one of the most iconic tourism experiences internationally, but we also recognise that this is an incredibly environmentally sensitive and Indigenous-sensitive area, and we will work with local stakeholders, the Tasmanian government, and other relevant Indigenous bodies within Tasmania to take this development forward, Chief Executive John O'Sullivan said. Our whole model is built around minimising the impact of our infrastructure. We're about small group touring, so we have no more than 10 people on a walk plus experienced guides. The 85-kilometre South Coast Track joins Melaleuca and Cockle Creek, and follows an ancient Aboriginal route. A sacred, spiritual place. Palawa woman and Tasmanian Aboriginal Centre campaign manager Nola Mansell said the southwest was a significant cultural landscape. The tracks that exist at the moment are very close to some of the most ancient Aboriginal heritage that you could find anywhere in the state. So there's huge concern on behalf of the Aboriginal community about what an influx of further tourism would do to those sites, and what building or further infrastructure could potentially damage or destroy ancient heritage, Ms. Mansell said. Palawa woman Nola Mansell says Tasmania's southwest is an area sacred to Aboriginal people. The Tasmanian Aboriginal Centre has been pushing for Aboriginal ownership of Crown lands. Ms. Mansell said at the very least, Aboriginal people should be involved in any development plans from the very beginning. Unfortunately, we have been completely shut out of this process so far. The South Coast Track is so significant and important to our people, we should be the ones who are consulted at the very start, she said. Mr. Marmion said the walking track and hut proposal was inappropriate and ill-conceived. What we've got to do with World Heritage areas is shift the infrastructure outside the World Heritage area. I don't want to be seen as anti-everything, but I'm certainly anti-development in the World Heritage area, he said. Wilderness Society Tasmania campaign manager Tom Allen said the state government's policy settings were all wrong. The Wilderness Society supports and wants to see a thriving nature tourism sector alongside thriving ecosystems and properly protected and respected wild areas, national parks, and World Heritage. Wilderness Society campaign manager Tom Allen says it's wrong to privatise World Heritage land. Mr. Allen said the proposal for the South Coast Track was one example of privatising World Heritage land. It's our understanding that what's proposed is 6 luxury lodges that will involve a significant amount of land clearing, he said. The more you develop wilderness, the more it declines. The view of Federation Peak and Lake Geeves is a highlight of the flight to Melaleuca. The proposal was made as part of the state government's call for developments in national parks, which started in 2014. Parks Minister Jackie Petrosma said Tasmania's natural and cultural assets were an important driver for our regional economies, and we want to be a leader in ecotourism. However, we understand this must be achieved through culturally sensitive and environmentally sustainable visitation to our national parks, reserves and Crown lands, Ms. Petrosma said. Bathurst Harbour is a marine reserve within the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area. One proposal in the World Heritage Area for a standing camp on Halls Island at Lake Malbina with helicopter access has been dropped, for now, after the developer decided not to continue a court battle to win approval. The company behind it, however, has said it planned to reapply for planning approval. Ms. Petrosma said the Tourism Master Plan for the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area, released last year, strikes the right balance by providing diverse, high-quality, environmentally sustainable visitor experiences, at the same time as conserving and protecting the cultural and natural heritage values that underpin the significance of the TWWHA. The airstrip and Melaleuca enables tourists to visit the remote area for day trips. Options outside the World Heritage Area. Mr. Marmion said there were other ways to attract people to Tasmania for walking holidays. I have a vision of walking tracks similar to what you have in Europe and North America, like the Camino and the Cross Britain Way. He said he would like to see a track from Mount Wellington to Recherche Bay through the Huon Valley, and another from Launceston to Hobart via the Eastern or Great Western Tiers, taking advantage of accommodation and services already in place.